Guys. Sorry, a little bit of a late upload. It's just me today. Hope you're having a good weekend. Funk isn't just because he's severely hungover right now, so it's just me. But in the past, he's had to record without me for numerous times, so it's okay. Recapping yesterday, I think we were good on the pieces in a sense, meaning like getting to the stacks that we wanted. Otani got 37 despite giving up 5 earned. He had 9Ks, got the quality start and win. Steer, high double digits. Our one off of Gleyber Torres, solo home run. CES from the Reds had a home run that just barely went foul. Then he hits one to the opposite side and gets caught. So Corbin Carroll, like our highest owned guy, only got a walk. Nick Senzel did pretty good for not getting a hit. But, just moving on to today. Can't dwell over the past, even though that's all Funk and I do. So let's just get right into it. So, so for pitching today, it's got Logan Webb, Reed Detmers, Dylan Cease, Sonny Gray, Zach Wheeler, Paxton, Scherzer, and the list is going on and on and on. So right now, Reed Detmers at 9K is getting the most ownership at 27%. 9K, he's got the strikeout stuff. He's been performing pretty well recently. Good matchup against Pittsburgh. 27% owned. I just don't like that much, but it's not a bad spot for him. Logan Webb, 10-8 versus Washington at 11% looks intriguing. The only issue is that Washington just does not strike out. So, and Logan Webb can go pretty deep into games. Last few starts, he's gone pretty deep into the games. So I really don't mind that there. Dylan Cease 9-4 against Minnesota. I've said it a lot recently. The AL Central is so bad that it's pretty much up for anybody, pretty much besides the White Sox. So they're going to need Dylan Cease to be amazing today, have the offense hit a little bit. On the other side of that, Sonny Gray for $200 more looks a little bit more interesting. Dylan Cease is getting 13%, Sonny Gray 11%. Um, Zach Wheeler, 10-3. I really don't like that much. He's only getting 4%. The only issue with Cleveland is same thing as with Logan Webb with Washington. They just don't strike out a lot, and they're just prone to go off randomly. So I don't like Paxton much. I don't really like Scherzer too much either. If I had to choose one, it would be Scherzer. 10-1 against Boston. We've seen him recently getting back to his normal self. Um, to be honest, I kind of like the Mets as a stack a little bit just because Paxton hasn't been that great recently. But I mean, if you're debating between those two, just go with Scherzer. $200 more. You kind of know what he's capable of. The one thing that I found interesting is Christian Javier is 8,800 facing Oakland, gaining 13%. I find that interesting just because it's a good matchup for him. I know Framber Valdez didn't do that great yesterday. I don't think Oakland can, continue what they're doing, just scoring a bunch of runs. So Javier is a little interesting. The good thing about getting to Javier 8,800, we got the Braves on the main slate today, so that's a little interesting there. If you end up playing Javier, you can get to some Braves bats. So speaking of bats and stacks and all that, so right now it's got Atlanta, San Fran, Angels, Houston, Mets, Boston, Philly. The whole list is right here. Couple interesting spots here. So I pretty much agree with the first four, pretty much in that order. Atlanta against Hauser, it's the Braves. So don't overthink it. San Fran San Fran against Josiah Gray. Josiah Gray is one of those young kids that, in the future, maybe in the next few years, he'll be pretty good. Um, so he's still like a work in progress. He's kind of had an up and down season, but the strikeout upside is there for him. So San Francisco, I still don't mind that much just because, they're favorites and it's Washington. Um, Angels against Osvaldo Bido looks interesting too. Otani, Ward, Moniak, Moustakas is pretty cheap. And if you watched the game yesterday, it was just a home run derby all over again. Both teams are going pretty crazy. Um, Houston against Paul Blackburn. I know the Oakland Coliseum is not a hitter friendly ballpark, but then again, Kyle Tucker hit 3 home runs yesterday. Obviously, it's Houston against, one of the worst teams in baseball. Um, I don't really know if I like the Mets or Boston that much. I truthfully do not like Boston against Scherzer. The Mets can make a little bit of noise against Paxton. Their ownership share is 11%, which doesn't look that intriguing. And if you were to get to the Angels, the third highest stack against Osvaldo Bido, 1% leverage score, and they have the second highest stack score. So the stacks tool right now really likes them, and they're only getting a 9% ownership share. Um, Philly bats against Tanner Bibby, your usual Harper, Schwarber, Stott, Bohm, Trey Turner. Definitely like those guys a little bit. It's just crazy to think. I know that they've turned their season around a little bit. I remember beginning of the season they weren't all that great, but you know they've turned it around a little bit. They got to make a little run if they want to get in to the playoffs. To be honest, I don't even know their record or anything, but they're just not meeting their expectations. That's just what I've been seeing a lot. So definitely those bats against Bibby looks a little interesting. Minus 2% leverage score, but their ownership share is only about 8%. So maybe a few of those pieces wouldn't be bad. The one stack that I'm very interested in, and it always screws us over, is Milwaukee against his Allen Winans. I hope I said that right. So here's the interesting thing. He just got called up from AAA. Don't know if he's any good. Don't know if it's worth playing him. Obviously, I wouldn't really play him because you have better pitchers on the slate today, but Milwaukee just looks like a good pivot. 0.6% leverage, 6% ownership share. They don't have the highest stack score, but with a AAA pitcher making his first MLB start, might be a little interesting to get to a couple different bats there. Nothing else really stands out. I'm a little reluctant to getting to the Twins just because it's Dylan Cease, and I know Dylan Cease hasn't been amazing this season, but you know, either side of that game doesn't look too terrible. But if I had to choose one, it would be Minnesota. And Minnesota is at the top of the AL Central, so they want to keep that momentum going. The White Sox have a long way to go to getting up there, basically. So really quick, let's just see what the MLB DFS lineup generator says. So we normally like to do 4-3-1 balanced lineup. I don't really have a lock, but it seems like at the moment Logan Webb is like top for pitchers. Let's just see what hitters. Yeah, Otani makes sense. But let's just skip that. We'll save 20 lineups. Yeah, Reed Demers, I kind of like there. So let's just save 20 lineups and just check our exposure. So Otani, pretty chalk today. Tucker likes a little bit of the Giants, mix in a little bit of Houston, even some Angels look good. Yeah, it's getting a little bit of the Brewers. You can get Contreras and Adames. Pretty cheap, 10% here. And then you can go here and see your stack exposure. So we have 70% of San Fran and then all these. It's kind of interesting that we only get like 10% of Atlanta, but they're also just really chalk and they're all just super expensive because all they do is rack up the runs. So this is just a great tool to see what it likes and get your mind thinking of what you want to get to. And then you can just export it to a CSV or you can clear the lineups. So let's just do this. Get more lineups. and then you can save 20 again. And it's pretty much the same thing. It kind of just mixes in different stacks. And this time we got to more San Fran and more of the Angels. So definitely a great tool to use. Kind of get you thinking on what stacks to play, what stacks to avoid, what pitchers and all that. So definitely worth the recommendation. So with Funk not being here, I texted him to at least give me some home run calls. So Funk's home run calls of the day are going to be Christopher Morel, Max Muncy, and Luis Robert. He kind of took Robert from me, but that's okay because I have three of my own. I'm going to go Willie Adames, Francisco Lindor, and Jock Peterson. I know Jock Peterson hasn't been a home run machine lately, but that changes today, hopefully. So one more thing before I sign off here. I just want to show you guys Pick'em Pro. So I already posted some prize picks plays on the Twitter. So if you want to tail or you want to fade, go for it. But this just gives you, you know what, let's do a quick refresh because it probably updated since I've started recording. So, you know, you got underdog and prize picks here. So yeah, it really hasn't updated. So you just scroll through, it gives you, okay, Dubon under, this is what he's projected, 55% of the time the under is going to hit. So you kind of just scroll through and see what you like. One of the plays I have Gilbert over, Corey Seager just got placed on the IL, so I'd put Semien over 1.5 bases. You just scroll through and see what you like. I like Olsen and Yelich today over that. Brandon Williamson doesn't seem that bad of a strikeout prop considering Ben Lively went kind of crazy yesterday, got like 6 or 7 strikeouts against Arizona. And there's just multiple pages of stuff too. So you can just, you know, page 2, just scroll and see what you like. So I'm going to put the link in the description. It's definitely worth trying out because you have, at least with me for baseball, what I tend to look for is total bases and pitcher strikeouts. And I used to only be focused on that. Whereas with this, it kind of opens your eyes to see like, hey, maybe you should start taking more unders, or hey, maybe you should look for the hitter fantasy scores. So definitely a good tool to use. So that should just about do it. Just a quick little recap. Webb, if I had to kind of rank everything for pitchers, focus on getting to Webb, Detmers, Sonny Gray, and Scherzer, Christian Javier. Kind of like look at those guys as your main targets. For stacks, Atlanta, Angels, Houston, Philly, Milwaukee. Just kind of look at those, mix and match, see what you can come up with. The lineup should be posted on the Twitter about 10-15 minutes before live. So make sure to go follow us on Twitter there and like and subscribe if you haven't already.